Proverbs 18, Phase 1. 1. Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment. This teaches that self-chosen isolation often protects personal preference over wisdom and rejects corrective counsel. 2. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his own heart. This is saying that folly prefers self-expression over learning, valuing opinion above discernment. When wickedness comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes disgrace. This teaches that moral corruption naturally brings shame and relational erosion. For the words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a flowing brook. This is saying that speech reveals depth of character, and true wisdom refreshes and sustains like living water. 5. It is not good to be partial to the wicked or to deprive the righteous of justice. This teaches that favoritism corrupts judgment and violates moral order. A fool's lips walk into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating. This is saying that reckless speech provokes conflict and invites consequence. 7. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are a snare to his soul. This teaches that undisciplined speech traps and destroys the one who speaks it. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. This is saying that gossip is seductive and deeply internalized, shaping perception and dividing relationships. 9. Whoever is slack in his work is brother to him who destroys. This teaches that negligence can be as harmful as intentional harm. 10. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. This is saying that true security is found in God's character and covenant faithfulness, not in human systems. 11. A rich man's wealth is his fortified city, and like a high wall in his imagination. This teaches that wealth creates perceived security, but often only in the mind. 12. Before destruction a man's heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor. This is saying that pride precedes collapse, while humility prepares the way for elevation. If one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. This teaches that premature response reveals immaturity and produces embarrassment. 14. A man's spirit will endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? This is saying that inner despair is heavier than physical affliction and requires careful guarding of the heart. 15. An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. This teaches that wisdom actively pursues understanding rather than waiting passively for it. 16. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. This is saying that cultivated ability and generosity create opportunity and influence. 17. The one who states his case first seems right until another comes and examines him. This teaches that discernment requires hearing both sides before forming judgment. 18. The lot puts an end to quarrels and decides between the mighty. This is saying that impartial resolution mechanisms can prevent escalating conflict. 19. A brother offended is more unyielding than a fortified city, and quarrels are like the bars of a castle. This teaches that unresolved offense hardens relationships and creates nearly impenetrable division. From the fruit of a man's mouth his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. This is saying that speech produces consequences that return to nourish or harm the speaker. 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. This teaches that words carry creative and destructive capacity, and outcomes follow habitual speech. 22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. This is saying that covenant marriage is a blessing and an expression of divine favor. 23. The poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. This teaches that power dynamics influence tone, revealing character through response. 24. A man of many companions may come to ruin who sticks closer than a brother. This is saying that quantity of association is not equal to loyalty. True friendship is rare and steadfast. Proverbs 18, Phase 2. Historical and cultural anchorings. Proverbs 18 reflects an ancient society where speech carried legal, relational, and economic weight. Courts operated through testimony. Elders judged at the city gate. Reputations determined livelihood and survival. Isolation from community was dangerous, and alliances were essential. Words could secure justice, destroy credibility, initiate conflict, or restore peace. Wealth provided certain protections, but it also created illusions of security. In this environment, discernment, restraint, and integrity were not abstract virtues. They were survival necessities. The chapter addresses personal conduct, courtroom dynamics, friendship loyalty, offense, pride, humility, and the life and death power of speech within a tightly woven covenant culture. Modern application today. Proverbs 18 speaks directly into a culture saturated with communication, social media, instant messaging, public commentary, and constant opinion sharing. Words still build or destroy reputations. They still influence legal outcomes, workplace advancement, and relational stability. Speaking prematurely, reacting emotionally, or spreading unverified information continues to fracture trust. Isolation remains spiritually and psychologically dangerous. Self-chosen detachment from accountability breeds distortion and pride. Wealth still creates a false sense of security, while character and wisdom remain the true foundation of stability. Offense, when nursed, becomes relational fortification. Pride precedes humiliation in public and private life alike. The chapter reminds modern readers that speech discipline, humility, careful listening, and relational integrity are not optional virtues. They are foundational safeguards for personal, professional, and spiritual health. Linguistic anchorings. Proverbs 18 intensifies Hebrew parallelism, particularly antithetical contrasts between wise and foolish speech. Key terms include lashon, tongue, symbol of speech, influence, and relational power; nephesh, soul self, inner appetite and desire; mishpat, judgment, justice, legal discernment; resha, wicked, morally corrupt or disruptive behavior; shem, name, reputation, identity. The text frequently uses vivid imagery, words as deep waters, the name of the Lord as a fortified tower, an offended brother as a fortified city, death and life residing in the power of the tongue. Veritas 365 translation preserves this imagery in modern English while maintaining the poetic force and sharp contrast structure of the Hebrew. Theological anchorings. Theologically, Proverbs 18 presents God as protector, moral overseer, and ultimate source of security. Human speech reflects internal condition. Therefore, accountability before God extends to words as well as actions. The name of the Lord as a strong tower communicates covenant refuge, security rooted not in wealth or self-defense, but in divine alignment. Pride precedes destruction because it resists correction and rejects dependence. Justice requires patient listening. Wisdom requires restraint. Security belongs to the righteous, not because they are self-sufficient, but because they trust rightly. The chapter reinforces that speech, humility, relational faithfulness, and trust in God are inseparable components of wisdom. Key themes. Speech as power. Words create consequences that cannot be reversed. Listening before answering. Discernment requires restraint. Isolation versus accountability. Self-separation breeds distortion. Wealth versus true refuge. Money is fragile. God is secure. Pride versus humility. Arrogance invites collapse. Offense and reconciliation. Hardened hearts create fortified walls. Closing thought. Proverbs 18 teaches that the tongue is never neutral. It reveals, shapes, wounds, heals, and determines relational trajectory. Security cannot be manufactured through wealth or control. It is found in alignment with God. Wisdom listens carefully, speaks deliberately, forgives quickly, and humbles itself before honor arrives. The chapter presses the reader to examine not only what they say, but why they say it, and where their true security rests. Reflection prompts. Where has careless speech created consequences in your life? Do you listen fully before responding or react prematurely? Are you isolating yourself from correction or accountability? What do you rely on for security, resources, reputation, or God? Is there an offense you are fortifying instead of resolving?